Jabroni, Jabronixyz, oh, it doesn't matter, you spell jabroni.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to a new episode of Two Jabronis with a Wrestling Podcast. BJ Cruz here with my tag team partner. Although you may not recognize him because he may or may not be in a certain faction, the incomparable Jeremy Loss. Jay, what is up, dude?
You can't be giving away my identity when I'm in Retribution. Even though everybody knows who I am, I still can't give away my identity.
I think you're doing a better job of hiding who you are in Retribution because you're hiding your eyes. Look, this is just another plug for our YouTube channel because if you're not looking at this, what I'm looking at right now, you are missing out on a whole lot, my friends.
Do I do the whole show like this? Because this would be like, it's already starting to be hard to breathe a little bit, but
it would be a choice. It would definitely be a choice. At first, I thought you were just a serious mask wearer, anti-COVID, which is good. I was like, look at him.
It's good, yeah.
And then you started talking the Retribution voice. Got very concerned. Not great for podcast. I will say that. It's not...
Okay.
There it is. There's that mug that I've
been revealed.
You've been revealed. That's what it's gonna look like when Dijakovic, Medium, Mercedes Martinez, Dio Madden, and Shane Thorne reveal themselves as part of Retribution. Yeah. Oh, did I spoil that? I'm sorry because it wasn't difficult to tell at all tonight that's who they freaking were.
Why do they have the Bane voices?
We'll get to that. Let's take care. Let's take care of the business, the logistics. We are of course brought to you by the best podcast network in the world, Blue Wire, and our friends over at betonline.ag. Don't forget to subscribe to the show wherever you download your podcasts. And if you're one of our fantastic Apple Podcast users, please rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. And if you're feeling spicy, leave a review. And for our Spotify people, hit us with that follow so we can climb those charts on the Spotify podcast charts.
It's a lot of charts there.
A lot of charts.
Make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. You get to see me in my Retribution cosplay. You can subscribe to us at Two Jabronis with a Wrestling Podcast. There's a red button. Hit that thing. Comment. Do all the good stuff. You can also follow us on social at Two Jabronis Pod on Twitter and on Instagram. And you can follow me on Twitter at Jeremy A. Loss and Ben at Cruise Control. That's control with a K.
Yeah, so we didn't have a show last Friday. One of us, I won't say who, ended up very sick, and that person is now better. I'm pointing fingers at who was sick because it wasn't me. But no, I'm glad you're feeling better. I couldn't bring myself to do a solo show, even though you did send me a nice little audio drop. But we're definitely going to talk about all that stuff because we talked about it through text. But it is now, I'm glad we're going to have this platform to do it vocally and through podcast form. But it is now time to stick to wrestling. And for this week's Stick to Wrestling, we actually had a fairly interesting episode of Raw, which is, we kind of alluded to some of the interesting stuff. We clearly saw who's in Retribution. The Keith Lee, Drew McIntyre stuff heated up. How do you want to attack this? Because there are so many angles that I want to talk about.
There are. It's like this one actually felt, I wouldn't say it was a good episode of Raw. I would just say it was a substantial episode.
It was impactful. Like it moved along some storylines.
Yeah, like this was one of those episodes where like, oh, this one means something. It's like one of those episodes when you're watching a show going along, like, oh, this is where shit turns.
Yes.
And this one just seemed like it had that kind of feeling. For me, the biggest takeaway was the Hurt Business. They are over. They are being pushed. It is great to see, especially for somebody like Cedric, who did some wild shit in the ring tonight with Ricochet.
Looked good. Looked really good.
His lumbar check is so damn good.
It's incredible. But
the sell job by Ricochet was pretty gnarly.
Equally is incredible. Yeah.
And then I think somebody had put up on Twitter a video back in I want to say it was the PWG days of Cedric doing a lumbar check on Candice, and she sold the shit out of it too. It was awesome. But yeah, I just love the fact that they have kind of been thrust into, I guess, this Retribution storyline, and that's their foil. That's going to be their first foil because they now are. I guess they want to be are they the mercenaries now?
Yes, something like that. Before we get into her business versus Retribution directly, I do want to give some flowers to MVP because, let's face it, the legitimacy of this group is on his shoulders alone, right? Yep. We've seen a lot of Lashley over the past year and change since he re-debuted in WWE. We've seen a lot of Cedric Alexander. They've tried to push him, right? Just kind of as a solo star. We've seen some Shelton Benjamin since he returned to WWE, but individually, they weren't really capturing much. You throw an MVP with these three gentlemen, and he has made this group. He has completely grabbed the attention of everyone and made this group feel important, which I didn't know was possible with any of these three other people when they were just kind of doing their thing alone in WWE. So all the credit needs to go to MVP because he is incredible on the mic, right? He's just incredible at selling this group as the it group of Raw, right? And that's crazy because for a while it was Seth and his disciples, and obviously that imploded tonight officially. And it's just wild to think about that MVP, someone who hasn't been on WWE television in a very, very long time, is now carrying the most legitimate group. I don't know if you want to count Retribution in this, but
no, I don't.
Okay, there you go. On Raw, and that he just has to get a lot of credit for that because it is incredible work.
He's making himself a Hall of Famer. I would have said it was borderline before this, but now him coming back and being able to put mid-card talent over.
Yes.
And that's, we're being honest here. We love Cedric. Don't get me wrong. I love Cedric.
Love him.
Love Cedric.
He's great.
He's a mid-card talent because he's never going to get over as a bona fide superstar. And he is making them A-level players because he is bringing legitimacy to them. He's making you want to care. He's making you care about them. And everything about it is just making it feel big time. And he's doing it without having to go in the ring very much at all. And I think this has just solidified him as the next stage in his career, and he's a bona fide Hall of Famer coming out of this. He is just so damn good.
It's wild to think about that when he came back at the Royal Rumble, which was a big deal, right? It was in his hometown, and I remember listening to him on a podcast with Corey Graves on After the Bell, and him saying he just wanted to show up at the Rumble, show his kid, hey, I was in WWE, I'm in WWE, I just want to have this moment with you, and that's awesome. And he kind of alluded to that may be his last match. I think he had a match the night after with Rey Mysterio, and he was like, oh, that's kind of it. And he started to show up even more and more. And now, like you said, he's putting over these mid-card talents that, for whatever reason, just haven't been able to get over. And that is why, to kind of sidetrack a little bit here, I was really, really hoping that Ricochet would turn with Cedric. You know what I mean? Because
he needs it, yeah.
Ricochet is on, he has the in-ring stuff. He has that in droves. That's not an issue for Ricochet. It's the other half, the mic skills, the can you connect with the audience stuff that hasn't quite hit just yet. But if he were to join the Hurt Business, I think that would do him a huge service. And the other thing I wanted to touch on was I remember around the time when MVP started this faction, there was a lot of talk of, he's gonna redo the nation, right? And he didn't. He was like, no, I'm gonna do my own thing. I'm gonna create my own faction. We're gonna do this our way. And at first, as with all new factions, you're like, is this gonna work? Like, is this going to be it? And now it is legitimate, and that is proof by tonight, by them having to face off against Retribution, or being one of the groups that face off against Retribution, and constantly being on like Raw Underground and being in a lot of storylines throughout the show.
Yeah, I mean, they're constantly putting their mark on different aspects of the show, and it's been great to see. Yeah, I agree with you. I think this would have been awesome to see Ricochet actually move over and be a part of it and just kind of turn heel a little bit.
Yep.
Because I think one of the biggest issues for him is his skill set in the ring is never going to be questioned. He is easily one of the more enjoyable people to watch when he's in the ring. It's just the fact that he is, for lack of a better term, he's corny. Like, he is a really corny babyface.
Yep.
And I think if he was heel, it'd be really interesting to see that dynamic from him. I can't even remember if he was actually heel in like Lucha Underground or whatever, but maybe I'll have to go back and try to see if I can watch that. But he just needs a fresh look or a fresh spin on his character. I mean, even if he goes back to NXT, and he's a heel, I mean, I'd be all about it. He needs to be livened up a little bit. So I think what they did with Cedric was great. He's already showing a little bit more interest. He's garnering more interest for me. I love what he's doing. And with this coming up, with them coming into this Retribution feud now, what also kind of piqued my interest is like, what if Keith Lee joins their Hurt Business?
So yes, because that was actually my first thought tonight when Retribution interfered with the Drew Keith match. I thought, oh my God, is Keith a part of this? I had that half-second thought, and then obviously it didn't happen. My thoughts immediately shifted to, oh, Keith's gonna dive over the top rope and like squash everyone, literally. And then him and Drew ended up doing that spot. But I think that would be incredible. Right, and because I think the Hurt Business worked to get to kind of the top of the card on Raw. Keith Lee has cemented himself there as well, right? Like, I think he's going to be in that title match at Clash of Champions, regardless if he's in Hurt Business or not. I think it's going to be a triple threat, and that would be, oh my God, would that be phenomenal? Keith Lee in the Hurt Business? Woo!
It sounds great. I'm going to play devil's advocate here.
Please do.
Like, it sounds like a great idea because like you're putting him in with, you have him with the likes of MVP. It could just kind of elevate him even more. But I would say that it would almost dilute his character in a way because he definitely doesn't need a mouthpiece. He doesn't need a group of individuals around him to make him look stronger. He doesn't need any of that. He can carry his own weight. So I don't know if you put him in the Hurt Business, if it like takes away from his aura of like being the limitless one and being like this next level superstar.
What if he's the leader though? Like, he's leading the Hurt Business. Like, he's the guy.
Then what do you do with MVP?
MVP can still do his thing, right? He can still be a mouthpiece. Yeah, every group needs a mouthpiece, and that's not to say if Keith Lee comes out as the leader of the Hurt Business that he can't have his time on the mic as well, right? Like, I'm just trying to make it happen because, as we all know,
I just think that they've already established MVP as the leader, unless they do something similar to what they did with the Nation, like where Farouk was the leader for a very long time. Sure. They brought in The Rock, and The Rock just slowly
rose up.
He became the star, became the leader, and then that's how they broke apart the faction. I could see that potentially happening, but like with Keith Lee, if he goes in, there's no rise there. He's already there. You know what I mean? Like, it's totally different from when The Rock came up.
Right. To your point, to strengthen your point, like The Rock was still borderline mid-card status, right? From there, he went on to win the Intercontinental title and then slowly built his way to the WWE title. So Keith Lee is already firmly entrenched in the WWE title picture, but I still think grouping him with the Hurt Business necessarily wouldn't knock him down in terms of importance, or it would hurt his brand at all. I think it would just be super helpful for that whole group. It could be like an Undisputed Era situation, right, where they could have the potential to hold all the titles. Literally, the WWE title, the US title, the tag team titles, and the 24/7 title, because they've all been in that picture for all of those belts.
I mean, it's an interesting thing. I just don't know if it's quite right for Keith Lee. Also,
which is fair.
You know what else is not quite right for Keith Lee? A singlet. Like, why are they keep messing with this shit?
Just pop off the straps. Pop off the straps.
Just put them in trunks. That's all they need to do. So
they're slowly declothing them. Slowly,
they are.
Declothing
they are. Now, another like kind of twist here for this Retribution angle is they had a bit of. They made their mark on the Kevin Owens Aleister Black match.
Yep. And
it's making me think that maybe, just maybe, Kevin Owens is the leader.
I mean, I like that. I like that a lot. Like, there's a whole NXT connection with KO, right, that they've flirted with for a while. Like, ever since he came to the main roster, right, to Raw or SmackDown, like when Triple H turned on Seth and gave KO the title, the Universal title, you're like, oh, it's the NXT thing. Like they're freshly off of that. I would love if KO is the guy leading Retribution, letting them in the building or whatever. Kind of,
yeah.
That would be, because KO's kind of in this space right now where you're like, what is his next thing? And we genuinely don't know. Right? Like Aleister Black, does that feud really excite you? It doesn't. It's dope. I know they'll put on great wrestling matches. Is it like the most exciting thing I've heard of? Not necessarily. If he's the leader of Retribution, let's talk about it, because that sounds fantastic. And to turn KO back to kind of that natural heel would be phenomenal.
Yeah, KO kind of calling the shots and causing and wreaking havoc on Raw. Again, I still don't understand if you have an anti-authority group that is so brand loyal. It really doesn't make sense.
Oh, it doesn't. Absolutely.
But if you're allowing Kevin Owens to just kind of call the shots and wreak havoc, I really like that angle. I love Kevin Owens as a heel. I love Kevin Owens as an anti-authority heel.
Yep.
So I think that would be really interesting. I'm hoping that they move off this Aleister Black storyline. Also, did you notice that Aleister Black's eye healed much faster than Rey Mysterio's?
Yeah, must have been a different set of stairs.
He must have went back to Holland or something, got that stem cell
he got that Kobe. Yeah, he got that Kobe knee stuff. That's a good point. They got to inject that into the storyline ASAP.
I mean, there's some as much as we shit on Retribution, and rightly so, it's still terrible. Don't get me wrong, it is still bad. There are certain elements that pique my interest in Kevin Owens. The Keith Lee tease as well. There's certain aspects of it that could be really interesting if done right. Are they going to be doing it right? Who knows? But we'll see where that goes. And then on the other side of things, it looks like the disciples are done. And Seth Rollins is back to being just him by himself.
I mean, I hope this is leading to a Seth Murphy feud. Right, because the amount that Seth was able to get over Dominic Mysterio was incredible. Let's give credit where credit is due. As much as Seth has gotten shit on the past couple of years for just being force-fed down our throats, which is kind of like the go-to excuse for why we're supposed to not like someone anymore. He put over Dominic huge, right, over the past month and change, and it's been wild. And if that is the fallout, if Seth versus Murphy is the fallout of that, and now it's putting Murphy over huge just as much, then I'm all for that, because Murphy he's again, there was once upon a time he was the best kept secret in the business, right? And all of a sudden he wasn't anymore. And then once he became Seth's disciple, it never really took off like I think it was supposed to. The initial turn was incredible, but he's never really taken that next step, that leap that we all thought that he was going to. And we know he has it because we've seen it. And if this is the next step towards that, towards him becoming like a crazy single star face at that, which the company kind of needs if they're going to flip KO or Keith Lee or whatever, then that's phenomenal. They're just timing it really, really well.
Yeah, I'm interested. I'm into the idea of Seth versus Buddy. I don't know how long you can go with that feud though, because I don't know how much people are going to be invested in Buddy Murphy as a babyface.
Sure,
it's all dependent on how much Seth can put him over and how much you can get. Seth can get heat. Seth was getting a shit ton of heat with this Rey Mysterio feud.
Right.
And he got it the moment he walked off the stage too.
To that point though, like I didn't know how much he could put over Dominic. I was a huge Dominic doubter. I was like, I get it. He's Rey's son. And all of a sudden I left this match thinking like, oh, that dude's got it. Like he still has, they still have to remove him from these gimmicky matches, and can he perform on like a regular match basis, like on an every night basis? Can he do that? But he's proven that he's got the chops for it, and Seth pulled that out of him, right? That's not just Dominic be doing his thing, because Dominic can do his thing, and it could still have fallen flat. Seth is a master at this point of pulling the best out of you. I think he can do that for Murphy, because Murphy is that good, and I don't think we've seen it yet. So if we see that in Dominic, who literally had no background,
but he also had a story to lean on. Like he had the story of Rey Mysterio. Buddy has, I mean, they had the breakup story, but like Buddy's gonna have to carry that on his own.
Sure, and it's gonna be on Murphy a little bit more than it is on Dominic, like to pull up his end of the bargain. I totally agree. I totally agree.
But like Seth he proved in this feud that he can get heat. I mean, the line that he dropped to Ray's wife on the way out, I was like, Jesus Christ.
I hope she's better than him. Oh man.
Man, that is like, as a parent, I wanted to throw hands. Right. I was like, we're squaring up. So I like this idea. What also is interesting to me, I don't know if you've noticed this, but they've been breaking up a lot of tag teams lately. They broke up the Disciples. They broke up the Iconics. They broke up
Too many.
Yeah. At this point, it's like, it seems like they're just chunking the deuces to the tag team division. But another thing that comes out of this that's really interesting to me that I think could be a fun little babyface run is Rey and Dominic with the tag champs.
Yeah, it's kind of heading there. But, I mean, the Street Profits went over tonight, over Cesaro and Shinsuke. And I think that, I mean, I don't know what you think about this. They seem to be heading towards some sort of unification of the tag titles until at least crowds are back and they can separate Raw and SmackDown more definitively, and they're not in the same space. So
I don't know. Like, I know that it seems like they're going that way, but the more I think about it, I don't know if they're actually going to do that. I think what's going to end up happening is like, this is just a tease for Clash of Champions, and then they're going to go back to like having them split. I do think a draft or a reshuffling of the rosters is coming. I mean, we're already seeing it with Mandy and Braun. Like, Braun showed up on Raw tonight. Mandy got traded. I could see,
what the hell?
I mean, random. SmackDown needs more on their tag division than anything. Like, they are just hurting. I know both of them are hurting, but SmackDown is real bad.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move Rey and Dominic. The story with Seth is done. I don't want to see it anymore. It's over.
Tonight was a good blow off. Cage match.
It's done.
It was a good
match.
They
get into this habit of like doing matches until I want to like claw my eyes out.
Oh, they overdo it. They 1,000% overdo it.
It's getting like they could easily overdo this Keith Lee Drew McIntyre thing, and I'm gonna hate it every single time I watch it. So like, why not move Rey and Dominic to SmackDown, and then you have a natural babyface team to go against your heel champions?
I like that. I mean, it's not a huge change for them, for the performers, right? Which is kind of always the worry. They're all performing from the same spot, so do it now. Like, having the Mysterios on Fox, who's not watching that?
Would that be the first father-son tag team champs?
Yeah, it might be. John Cena and his dad were never champions, right?
No, so like, I think there's a great storyline. It works with Fox. They're not feuding right now, but it's the tag team division. They can literally put together a tag team tomorrow and make them champions.
Right. Exactly.
Just random shit. So I think that's, and then it also gets Seth. It gets the Dominic Seth storyline like completely separated.
It'll freshen up Seth's storylines as well.
Right. So before we shift gears, before we had to pay some bills, I wanted to just touch base really quick on Braun Strowman showing up in Raw Underground.
Wow.
My guy went from Intercontinental Champion to Universal Champion to on fucking Raw Underground.
Talk about a fall from grace. And look, maybe this is the best spot. At least they're not force feeding him down the Universal title picture, right? Like at least they're giving us something fresh on that side, like the family feud. I'm 1,000% into that. By the way, real quick tangent. Roman is doing some incredible work. Holy shit, is he good right now? Him and Heyman are just lighting
this
it
is
up.
why this is what they were missing there. Like it was painfully obvious when Braun was the champion.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this is what it looks like when it's good. You know, It's like, oh yeah, this is what we needed.
Yeah.
Like the fact that we're gonna get fucking Roman versus Jey Uso or Jimmy Uso. I don't even know which Uso.
Whichever Uso's not hurt.
Yes.
Because they literally look the same because they're twins.
Yes. And like, I love that angle. Roman is great. And it really has like rejuvenated SmackDown for me. Like I actually enjoy watching Fridays.
It's fantastic.
So it's
yeah.
This is what you want to see when it's going good. So yeah, I mean, I saw Braun show up tonight. I was like, I laughed. I was like, oh, this is it. Like this is where he's gonna be. He's gonna be a mid-card jobber.
I mean, honestly, even if he did move over to Raw, right, and you kind of put him in the U.S. title picture, or even the world title picture against Drew, like that kind of makes more sense. Even if he loses and he doesn't quite win, or if he wins the U.S. title, like I kind of buy that more than him being the Universal title holder carrying SmackDown. You know what I mean? Like he just feels like he fits better on Raw than he does on SmackDown right now. In terms of like, so we just had we had week 1 of NFL Sunday this past Sunday, and they're throwing out these SmackDown promos. Like you put out, if Braun Strowman was the champion at this time, the mainstream viewers would be like, oh, it's just another big guy, right? It's like it's nothing to want to tune into. Versus this week they led into the Bayley Sasha feud, Roman Reigns. Like you're like, oh, these are 4 characters that I can really, really get into. And I think now is just the time to move Braun over to USA. And
those little ad reads that they do during NFL Sunday are so funny to me.
They're still super weird. Yeah.
Some of them have Michael Cole's voice reading it, and then sometimes, oh shit, we also forgot, sidetrack because I'm watching the replay. Zelina Vega versus Asuka?
Oh, that's gonna be incredible. That's gonna be.
Sign me the fuck up.
So let's talk about this real quick. The women's title picture on Raw. Once Sasha and Bayley kind of left it to Asuka, was a little thin, right? There weren't too many legitimate challengers. You know, the Natties of the world, Lana's, Riot Squad, Shayna, Nia, but they're all, those 6 specifically are entrenched in the tag team title picture. And then now you have Mandy Rose over there, who I think is going to get a title shot sooner than later, right? Maybe after Zelina.
I still think she is going to get the briefcase from Otis. I still think that.
You just keep saying it, and then once it happens, I'm cutting it. I'm going to post it on.
And I'm going to be like,
and you're gonna
I'm
go
a
viral.
genius.
You're going to go viral. So I do think right now that's why they moved Mandy over. I think that makes a whole lot of sense because they should want her kind of in that title picture. But Zelina right now, Zelina's good, man. I love
She's
Zelina
so
Vega.
good.
I love listening to Zelina Vega talk. She can wrestle. She just hasn't done it as much because she's in the manager role.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, she can actually go in the ring, but like she can carry this little mini feud for a few weeks just off her mic skills. You know what I mean?
Incredible.
Like she can just do whatever she wants, and then Asuka can be Asuka and then go in the ring. And okay, we also got to talk about the fact that they changed up the Asuka lock and it sucks now.
It's not. It's They made an alteration.
It is not a rear naked choke anymore. It is literally she's grabbing the cheek and just holding the arm, and it has no. It looks like the STFU where it's like you can see a gap there, and you're like, this has no like. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
I'm really into this. I think it's a nice little change of pace where we're not getting the same like recycled individuals in the title picture. Like, shout out Zelina. I want to see it. Like, this is going to be great. What were we talking about beforehand? Sorry, I got sidetracked.
Braun. We were talking about Braun for a bit. Braun just being on Raw Underground.
Oh, I was talking about the SmackDown previews. So yeah.
Oh yeah.
A couple of them would have like Michael Cole's voice, and then every once in a while you'd have like a random Fox announcer, and they would always say like, or Sasha responds to her former best friend's heinous actions, and it's like they try to go really over the top. And I'm like, man, just one time I want to do like a WWE ad read for Fox or something.
You probably get some good payment out of it as well.
Yeah.
Voiceover work is the way to go, which is why we're doing podcasts, because we're trying to get that voiceover back.
I know.
That's eventually.
All right, so before we shift gears to what happened on AEW last week,
which can't wait to talk about
I talked about in my rant that I gave while I was on my bed, and my guy couldn't bother to put it out on the internet for everybody.
I wanted it to be live. Here we go.
Okay.
Well, we'll wait for it. Let's pay some bills.
Yeah, let's pay some bills. So let's hear from our friends over at Indeed. Even though sports had a break, your business didn't. You have to keep moving, and that makes hiring more important than ever. Indeed is here to help. Indeed.com is the #1 job site in the world because Indeed gets you the best people fast. Unlike other sites, Indeed gives you full control and payment flexibility over your hiring. You only pay for what you need. You can pause your account at any time, and there are no long-term contracts. Plus, Indeed provides powerful tools to make your search that much easier, like sponsored jobs, which are shown to be 3.5 times more likely to result in a hire. With 73% of online job seekers visiting Indeed each month, Indeed is going to get you the important hire you need, just like they have for over 3 million businesses. Right now, Indeed is offering our listeners a free $75 credit to boost your job post, which means more quality candidates will see it fast. Try Indeed out with a free $75 credit at Indeed.com/BlueWire. This is their best offer available anywhere. Go right now to Indeed.com/BlueWire. Terms and conditions apply. Offer valid through September 30th.
Let's take another quick break to talk about our friends over at Bet Online. The wait is finally over. Football is back. Unfortunately, the Niners are 0-1 and in last place in the NFC West. I love it. I hate it. I'm just kidding.
The comeback is going to be strong.
They're going to go 5-1 the rest of the way. You might not be at a game this year, but you can still be in on the action at Bet Online. Bet Online is going the extra mile to make sure you can get in on every possible chance to win this season. From game spreads and totals to team, player, and coaching props, Bet Online gives you more options to wager than anywhere else. You can get in on their season opening bonuses today and start off wagering on wins, division, and championship futures all day, every day. Head to BetOnline today and take advantage of all the great sign-up bonuses. Don't forget to use promo code BlueWire at betonline.ag. That's BlueWire, all one word. BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts. I was hoping I wouldn't have to talk about football today because I was still recovering from the stupid-ass Niners loss, but it's all right. I was
very upset yesterday. My son was like, why are you so mad?
We're not... Our group text...
All right, let's just shift gears here.
Died.
Let's talk AEW. Let's talk
please,
Miro.
Because this was incredible.
And his slim, shady look.
Oh.
My guy looks like Jonah Hill from the start of 21 Jump Street.
Miro, for the uninitiated, for those of you who have been away from wrestling Twitter for the past 5 days, 6 days, Miro debuted on AEW, a.k.a. Rusev. The wrestler formerly known as Rusev debuted on AEW as Kip Sabian's best man. And as Jeremy alluded to, he was rocking a new do. One which I don't know, because I watch his Twitch channel pretty frequently, And I don't know why I didn't notice that he had gone blonde, but he was.
I kind of like it.
I kind of
also,
dig it.
Did you notice he had like I think he was from head to toe like dripped out in like Gucci.
Definitely, yes. It wasn't. It was like Gucci shirt, Gucci shoes. I think Gucci sweats too.
Yeah, it was like the Gucci Disney collab.
Yeah, yeah.
So like,
it wasn't.
I mean, he was going for it.
Yeah, it wasn't the douchiest fit that you could wear on a debut, but it was
like
high up
so
there.
In terms of collabs, where would you put Gucci Disney in comparison to Travis Scott McDonald?
Both really great collabos.
So
both
like
excellent collabos.
Spent way too much time on TikTok these last few days just watching people go to McDonald's and just go, you know why I'm here, and then play like sicko mode. And it's just like, it's hilarious to me because the people that work at McDonald's sound like they're just like over it. They're just like, yeah, okay.
All right,
like,
here's $6.
Imagine, like, also, what the fuck is going to McDonald's asking for like a Travis Scott meal, which, by the way, according to our good friend Adam Knopfler, is just a quarter pounder with cheese
and bacon.
And
I did some research. Recently went to McDonald's establishment and I saw it up front. And yeah, it's
did you order it?
No, I didn't. I not to sound like a douche, but I'm doing a certain diet that
it's not keto friendly.
It's not. So we'll talk about it later. The point is, which one is the worst collabo? I would probably say the McDonald's one because I was sitting in the drive-through line, and it was as long as I'd ever seen it. And I knew, I could tell who was ordering the Travis Scott meal. You know, you just kind of look through the window, and you're like, he's definitely ordering the Travis Scott meal. That person is not. They're just trying to get to work. That person is ordering breakfast today. So I would have to go with
doesn't he have like isn't there like merch too that goes along with it? Like McDonald's
there's a McNuggets pillow. I gotta digress.
I swear to God, if I saw somebody with McDonald's McNugget Travis Scott pillow, we're throwing hands.
It's also $90. It's
on site.
It's insane, but
it's ridiculous. Okay, let's
let's pivot. Let's go back. Let's get back to Miro because I'll start with this. Were you surprised by his debut?
Not by him joining AEW. I was surprised at the fact that they put him with Kip Sabian.
But okay, so it happens, right? Like the debut happens. Did you have a finally he's here reaction or a oh shit reaction?
It was finally he's here.
Interesting,
because I anticipated him. He's too good and too big of a name not to be on TV. So I anticipated him to be there. It's just, when I saw it was Kip Sabian, I was like, what? Like, why are we putting him with Kip Sabian?
So that's why when my initial reaction was an oh shit reaction, because one, as I mentioned earlier, I watch his Twitch channel a lot, and people would ask him, are you going to go back to wrestling? And he's, it was that answer, he's trying to steer everyone off the scent, kind of similar to Moxley when he left, like, no, I'm done, blah, blah, blah. And the fact that it was Kip Sabian, I figured it was going to be someone who's already with the company. That wouldn't be surprising. So that's why I had that oh shit moment where it was like I had this thought in my head that he was done with wrestling. He was just going to do his thing, whether I thought it was true or not. But the fact that he was being partnered with Kip Sabian, which I probably won't last long, right? He'll kind of do his thing there and move on to a singles run. That's why it was an oh shit moment for me, and to actually see him there and to see him taking a couple shots at Vince, and that's why it was a very much an oh shit moment, and good for him, right? Like, he should have that oh shit moment, because I still can't believe to this day that WWE let him go. It's unconscionable to me. It doesn't make sense. He was one of the most over acts in that company not even a year ago. Like, less than 9 months ago, he was one of the most over. I remember the end of the year show we did for 2019. We were like, can you believe the last Raw that we had for this show was Rusev and Lana and Lashley and their wedding? Mm-hmm. Whatever you thought of that storyline aside, my man Rusev / Miro was ending Raw as the top billing on the show.
Mm-hmm.
And they couldn't find a place for him. And his wife is still in WWE. That's the part that makes no sense.
She took a table bump tonight.
Oh,
I'm 100% sure that was like payback for the brass ring
Miro.
comments.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still flabbergasted to this day that they let him go. I still don't understand how Vince didn't think Rusev Day was over. I mean, they're about to make a shit ton of money off of Miro Day in AEW. They're going to make
Pro
so
Wrestling
much money.
Tees is about to go off because they're going to make a Miro Day shirt, and it's going to sell so fast.
Yep.
It's going to sell like crazy.
So I anticipate their initial run to be a tag team run. Like they may challenge for the tag titles.
Sure.
And then they're going to have to break it off because, I mean, the level of where Miro is versus Kip Sabian. I don't want to trash Kip Sabian because I actually do enjoy him. I enjoy his character. But they're just on different levels. Like Miro is a top dog. So I think they do their tag run and then you transition him into TNT and then eventually you get him in the AEW title picture. Don't have to rush it because I don't even know if he's like in wrestling shape. I'm sure he has to that's maybe why they're going to do a tag team to start so they can slowly integrate him in. I was more shocked at his talking ability. I felt like it was really smooth. His promo.
It was good.
It was
really good.
It had some aggressiveness behind it. So I'm interested to see him kind of with the leash off and see him run with it. So, I mean, it's a shocking yet kind of understandable signing. I do know that a lot of the haters for AEW kind of jumped at it and they were like, it's another former WWE star.
Well, so I wanted to ask you about that. You know, let's talk about it because that was part of the conversation. It is another WWE guy jumping ship, right? And friend of the show, Stat Guy Greg, co-host of Cheap Heat, brought that up in that, you know, a lot of the top guys, and maybe not the girls, but the top guys in the company, there is, you know, this chatter about how a lot of them are former WWE guys, right? And you can't steer away from that conversation. Even with Kip Sabian at All Out taking shots at WWE for their Twitch or third-party views on talent making money off of other content.
And if you also look at it, it was a tease of who they were bringing in.
Exactly, which now in retrospect is that.
Yeah.
Is this a long-term problem?
No. Because who else are you supposed to bring in? Like literally, like you are quote unquote the number 2. Who else are you supposed to bring in? Are you only supposed to be like, no, we're only going to bring up like other guys from the indies? Like, what if nobody's available?
Sure.
Like, and you want to refresh your roster? Like, you have to bring somebody else in. What's wrong with taking on talent that might have been unjustly cut? Like, we all understand that Miro should have a place in the WWE.
Yep.
Eric Young should have a place in the WWE. Deonna Purrazzo should have a place in the WWE. But they get cut for multitude of reasons, and then they just go off and thrive because they have talent. Like, if you have talent, regardless of where you were before, bring them in. I have no problem with it. It's not like they're only taking WWE guys and pushing them to the moon. It just so happens that the guys that they're bringing in are exceptionally talented, and it makes sense for them to be in these spots. Jon Moxley is the best wrestler in the world. He's your champion.
Yep.
Brody Lee is an incredible talent who has an incredible character. Put a belt on him. You know what I mean? Like, if they brought in a female, like right now, like I mean, their women's division is in shambles. I have no idea what they're doing with it. But
they need to fix it. Yeah.
Like, they brought in what's her face from Total Divas from way back in the day, and like she's a former WWE person, but like she's already buried because she's not like. I hate like shitting on people because like They do a lot of things that I can't do. But
right.
She's already getting buried because she's not good. Taya Conti is going to probably go in the Dark Order. She was pretty good, but she's not a main event player, so she's going to be a mid card person. Like they're taking them and not forcing them down our throats. They're putting that talent where their talent kind of lies and where they should be. So like I think it makes sense. Does that all make sense? I feel like it has rambled there, but it felt like
I know, I see what you're saying. It was just it was a conversation that I was interested in having because there were multiple people who said that, and like I just didn't want to dismiss it off top because there is something to be said about we're not WWE, we want to be the alternative, but on the surface you keep promoting people who used to be there. You know what I mean? So but your point is also correct in that you just got to grab talent when you can. These people were released. They were able to sign with you. So you did what you had to do to get them in the company. So I think both sides can be right in this.
It would be different if they were signing like low level WWE talent and then pushing them like to the moon because they were former WWE wrestlers.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If they signed Taya Conti and they're like, this is going to be our female champion, like our women's champion, I'm like, that doesn't quite register with me.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like she's great,
I'm with
but
you.
she's not that quality. Like FTR coming in and being your tag champion a little bit after you sign makes a ton of sense because for a long time in WWE, people were like, this is the greatest tag team in the world.
They're legitimately that good. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they are bringing people in that and then putting them in spots where they should be set. Like they're not over pushing people just because they're former WWE wrestlers. You know what I mean? Like, so I have no problem with it. I think it makes a ton of sense business wise. And they have homegrown talent that is also being pushed, like Orange Cassidy, Joey Janela, Hikaru Shida. Like those are homegrown talents that are being pushed. Hikaru Shida probably not homegrown, but you know what I mean? She's been there since the beginning. So I have no issue with it. And I just got to the part in Raw on the rewatch where Braun shows up. My guy, who is the bodyguard, just makes them both look like freaking so small. It's crazy. It's like Yao Ming and Shaq.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so AEW is in a interesting spot going forward. I'm really excited to watch this week's Dynamite. I think there's some opportunity here. I still don't know what they do with Orange Cassidy.
It'll be interesting, right? It'll definitely be interesting, but I hope they keep trying to push him toward the world title picture because that just kind of makes the most sense. And I don't know what that looks like just yet, but I mean, he proved that he can carry the company if and when they choose to do so, which is super weird to think about, right? Because we've watched him throughout his indie days, and you're like, oh, it's the lazy guy, right? That's his gimmick. But again, how we talked about how Seth can pull the best out of people, Jericho literally pulled some incredible stuff out of Orange Cassidy, and you can't unsee that, and you can't unsee the presence that Orange Cassidy now has and legitimacy that he now has within the company. So it's you're right. It'll definitely be interesting to see what direction they push him in terms of feuds and whatnot. But the fact that he won the Jericho feud is money in of itself. So it can only go up from here.
All right. Let's wrap up the show. There's a ton of wrestling coming up this week. We still have NXT, we have AEW, SmackDown's going to be phenomenal this week.
Yes.
So we'll be back on Friday. We are going to do a second show. I know we say that a lot and then we end up missing it or whatever.
But we have a special guest this week. Yes, I should say. I'm not going to spoil who it is. I'll tweet it out on Twitter.
So yes, we will definitely be back this week. So again, make sure that you follow us on social at Jabronis Pod on Twitter, on Instagram. Hey, we put up our first reels today.
You did, yes. You ran.
So I was listening to Something to Wrestle with Bruce Pritchard, and they talked about the match where Mankind wins the title.
Ugh.
And Conrad Thompson is and it had the loudest pop I've ever heard in my life. And so I went back and watched. I was like, holy shit, this pop is obscene. And that was a taped show.
Yeah, right. And it was spoiled by Mike Tenay. No, not Mike Tenay.
No,
Sorry,
Tony
Tony Schiavone on Nitro. And I still remember watching that as a kid because as a kid, I didn't know about this spoiled stuff. I watched Raw whenever it was on. You know what I mean?
I remember changing the channel when he told you not to change the channel.
I wasn't watching Nitro at the time. I just had Raw on, and I remember thinking, like, this is wild. There's a lot of people in the ring. And then once Stone Cold's music hit, that's the only time it registered that oh my God, like, Mankind is going to win the title tonight.
There's like massive pops. Like I think about like a lot of Stone Cold pops.
Yeah.
And like the CM Punk coming out in Chicago pop. And then this one is just like 6 levels above it. Like the crowd just went bananas.
Obviously Stone Cold almost at the peak of his heyday. And that's the moment they all realize, like, oh my God, Mankind is going to win the title. Like that combination just sent that place berserk, and rightfully so. Go watch it on our Instagram. It's
and it also leads to the infamous SummerSlam match where they have the I Quit match, and it's in the documentary and everything. I mean, that feud was brutal. I'm pretty sure The Rock wrestled in a shirt in summer, like he had the shirt on during SummerSlam because he had pec surgery. It's a lot of like, I love that era because there's like the stories that go on backstage are just incredible. But again, make sure that you follow us on social, follow us on Twitter and on Instagram at 2 Jabronis Pod. You can follow us, subscribe to our YouTube channel at 2 Jabronis with a Wrestling Podcast. You can see me in my Retribution cosplay. Hit that red button. And then you can follow me on Twitter at Jeremy A. Lawson. You can follow Ben at Cruise Control. That's Control with a K.
And don't forget to subscribe to the pod wherever you download your podcasts. And if you're one of our fantastic Apple Podcast users, please, please, please rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. And if you're feeling spicy, leave a review. And our Spotify people, hit us with that follow so we climb those Spotify charts. All right, everyone, we will be back on Friday. All over your podcast feeds. We will have a special guest. I booked him right before we hopped on tonight, and it's going to be a great show. So in the meantime, if you can't stay home, if you can't wear a mask, wash your hands, and always and forever, Black Lives Matter. All right, everyone. We will talk to you on Friday. Peace.